takes it by.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir Collins Udanor is an associate professor of computer science, artificial intelligence, and high performance computing at the Department of Computer Science, University of Nigeria. He holds a PhD in electronic engineering. Professor Udanor was the immediate past director of Education Innovation Center and the current head of Department Computer Science, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He is also the AI and Data Science lead at the Ivan Research Institute at the College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, and the technical director at the Center for Competence in Digital Education at the World Bank Center for Excellence, UNN. By the grace of God, Sir Collins Udanor is a pastor at the Christian Charismatic Ministries, Nsukka, and also doubles as the National Director of Administration in the same ministry. On the national level, Professor Udanor led the Labor and Employment Cluster of the Volunteer Expert Group on the formulation of artificial intelligence policy for Nigeria. At international levels, he led the team that developed the Pidgin English version for Google search engine. He has won several international and national research grants and awards. He is an invited speaker at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa, York University, Canada, University of California, Berkeley, amongst others. Professor Udanor has more than 40 peer-reviewed publications in international journals and conference proceedings, indexed and ranked by Clarivate Analytics, Springer and Scopus, etc. He is also a reviewer for many journals. Sir Collins is the husband of one wife for 24 years and blessed with children. Thank you, sir.
All right, please, can we please give him a round of applause, at least digitally, please? Let's welcome him, please. Thank you very much. You're welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's my pleasure to be here once again. I have been part and parcel of this foundation. And I want to thank our brother and our host, Engineer Dr. Mike Iwebu, who is tirelessly hosting this program, bringing quality speakers from all over the globe to aspire or to inspire us to aspire for excellence. So tonight, my task is to try to do justice to this topic that says reinventing yourself for purposeful living. Let's look at the agenda. First, we want to know what is self-reinvention. When should you reinvent yourself? What are there reinvention stories that we need to learn from that could inspire us to strive towards reinventing ourselves? What are the challenges that spur reinvention? What are the steps we need to take for self-reinvention? And we'll end with asking you, what is your personal reinvention story? Perhaps if you don't have one now, you can work towards having one. So, as I want to start, I want to do a little bit of exercise, and I would like you to respond. What does the month of September signify to you? It's the 9th month of the year, and to many people, it means different things. So what does it represent to you? Maybe you may type at the chat window. As we take that, I will look at your responses, and then before we ask the next question. So I'd like everyone to participate. Please, I would like it to be interactive. So let me see, what are the responses like? I'm not seeing anything yet. What does the 9th month mean to you? Okay. The start of a new cycle. Okay, this person says I'm not hearing any sound. You may need to check your system. I'm sure everybody's hearing me. Yes, I'm sure.
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you, sir. Yes, we can hear you,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. This person said month of celebration. I like that. Oh, Adebola Mark, my wedding anniversary month. I love that. Rebuilding my strategies. Catherine Amos. Month of new beginning. Collins Udanor. I guess that should be my daughter typing that. All right. This one says school fees month. Wonderful. Yes, everybody is in that same shoe. 9 signifies iron gates are open to me. So I am expecting positive news and progress in great places in life and career. That's wonderful. That's Alalibo Belema. Yeah, Belema is a long time. Yeah, who else? Any more? What does the month September? Okay, Rosemary Uja, a month of new dawn. Wonderful. Okay, let's take one more so that we'll continue. Okay, month of delivery. That's Matthias Nelson. Eganabi Emmanuel, the end of the third quarter of the year, evaluation and remapping. Good one. All right. You can keep it coming. So I'm going to continue. Uchechi Mark, my month of divine help. Thank you. You will get divine help this month. Okay, fresh start, Onyi Kelly. Okay, so I'm going to continue. So next question is, what bird, there's something that is missing there, deliberately blotted out. What bird lives the longest on earth? What bird lives the longest on earth? So we're going to see your responses also. I want to see your responses to this question. What bird? Okay. Kene Digital, the eagle. One came from Okon, eagle. Chinagorom, eagle. Everybody saying eagle. Okay. The golden eagle. All right. Okay. I will. What if I tell you it's not the eagle? Will you believe me? How many of you have heard of the bird called macaw? Macaw is a type of parrot found in North America, especially in Mexico area. That bird lives up to 75 years. But my question, what is in that blank, says what bird of prey lives the longest on earth? So if you say that eagle is the bird that lives longest on earth, then you are wrong. But if you say the bird of prey that lives the longest on earth, if you say it is eagle, then you are correct. So let's see. I have a next question, the last question. What insect lives the longest on earth? Can I get a response? Let's see. What insect lives the longest on earth? Can I get any response? Lysan albatross. Is that an insect? Queen termites. Okay. Let's keep it coming. Let's get 2 or 3 more. The termites. Any other? I'm sure none of you will get the answer. Queen termite, female bee, mosquito, termites, spider, queen termite. I'm sure none of you is going to get the answer. Spider. All right. So I'm going to put this up now. So the bald eagle is the bird of prey that lives the longest on earth. The bald eagle lives a period of between 20 to 30 years. Sometimes it lives up to 40 years. And the secret is the renewal, which is the reinvention we're going to talk about today. Now, I'm sure you've not seen this insect. This is called the splendor beetle, Chrysina gloriosa. That's the botanical name. It is called the splendor beetle. This insect lives an average of 31 years, with the longest recorded lifespan reaching 51 years. I'm sure you've not heard of this. Now, it's not a very common insect, and this insect spends majority of his life as a larva before it emerges in the adult stage, and it lives as old as 51 years. Now, the eagle and the splendor beetle, what do they have in common? Number one, delay emergence. Delay emergence. They take their time to emerge. They take their time to prepare. And that also leads to self-reinvention. During the time of their hibernation, they are reinventing themselves, like the eagle that goes to the mountain and peels off his feathers. First of all, he hits the beak on the rock and makes sure the old beak is removed, and then allows it and then uses the new one to pluck off all the feather and stays on that mountain for as long as 2 months until the new feathers grow, and then before it reemerges. And what does this give to this? Longevity. It gives them long life. And that's why the eagle can live as long as 40 years, and the beetle can live as long between 31 to 51 years. So, reinvention. Should we talk about reinvention first? No, we should talk about invention before we talk about reinvention. What is invention? Invention is the act of bringing ideas or objects together in a novel way to create something that did not exist before. So when we say who invented electricity, it means that electricity had not been in existence before somebody brought it into existence. Maybe ideas, maybe objects. Someone can use the things that exist to create something that does not exist, as we see in many inventions. Now, invention can be likened to the word ideation. Ideation is a combination of idea and communication. When you have an idea and you put that idea to work, then from the idea generation to idea actualization is the process of invention. So every invention begins with an idea. It always starts as an idea in the mind of the inventor. The inventor conceives it and begins to communicate it and begin to actualize it to bring that thought into life. Then when we look at the journey to invention, if you look at the Stone Age, these are some tools. When you look at it, you will see that our forefathers in the primitive, the Stone Age, they began to craft tools to be able to solve their problems. Tools like axe, tools like knife. They started with the stone, using the stone to crack things. And over time, these things have evolved into tools that we use today as a product of their invention. And then somebody has said that whatever the mind can conceive can be achieved. And so inventions are a product of the conception in the mind of men and women who have lived before us and men and women who are still living today. And I want to also say that invention has not ceased. There are still things that are being invented today. So it all depends on what you can conceive. Then definitely it can be achieved. Now let's talk about self-reinvention. What is self-reinvention? Because that's the key topic tonight. Simply put, changing our old ways and learning new things relevant to our goals. Changing our old ways and learning new things that are relevant to our goals. You can't self-reinvent, you can't reinvent if you have not decided to change the old ways and learn new things. Somebody has said that when you do the same thing the same way 1,000 times, you are likely going to get the same old results. So when we want to change our outcomes, then we must begin to think of changing the ways we do things. And for us to do that, when we drop the old, we must learn the new. And then this involves the following. Self-reinvention involves introspection, where you now begin to realize who you want to be. You begin to ask yourself, you begin to have a meeting with yourself to ask yourself, who do I want to be? You want to realize who you want to be. Who you are now, is that who you want to be? These are questions that we should ask in the process of introspection. Another thing is to understand more of ourselves. We study every other thing, but many a times we do not study ourselves. And if we do not study ourselves, the possibility of self-reinvention is far away from us. So let's take time to study ourselves, all right? Another thing that we find in self-reinvention is that you must eliminate bad habits and cultivate good ones. Over time, we find out that our habits are the things that make up who we are. We cannot be separate from our habits, and our habits over time form our character, and our character form our person. So we must begin by eliminating those bad habits that limit us. There are habits that limit us from reinventing ourselves or achieving the goal of who we want to be and the reason why we are here. But if we're going to do that, we need to drop the old habits and cultivate new ones. And then lastly is taking actions that can help us to evolve into a better version. In the world, the greatest person you compete with is yourself. The competition is not with any other person, but with yourself. Until the best of you, until the better version of you emerges, I really doubt if you are going to make any progress. So because all that we need to be what we want is within us, but we have to take actions. I like you to note the phrase, take actions. It's not just about thinking it. It's not just about wishing it, but we need to take action so that we can evolve into that better version of ourselves. Of course, there is a copy of you, but there is a better version of you. And that's why we continue with self-improvement. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so the second part of our topic says for purposeful living, self-reinvention for purposeful living. What is purpose? True success is not defined by any standard set by any society or culture, but by purpose. What you may call success may not be success to me. What Mr. A calls success may not be success to Mr. B. What is success to each one of us depends on our purpose. The moment you begin to achieve your purpose, then it can be said that you have succeeded, right? So purpose can be summarized, or life purpose can be summarized by these 4 circles. At the middle of that circle, you have life purpose. And around it, you have passion, you have mission, you have vocation, you have profession. Now, your passion is what you love. Your mission is what the world is expecting you to deliver. Your vocation is what you can be recognized for. And your profession is what you are good at. And at the middle of this is life purpose. What it means is that in fulfilling your life purpose, all these elements are needed for you to fulfill your life purpose. What are you passionate about? What is it that you love to do? What is it that you are called to deliver to the world? The world is expecting something from you. Many a times when I have opportunity to speak to people on the issue of life success and purpose, I tell people, the reason you should succeed is not just for you. You want to succeed because there are people who depend on your success. You want to succeed not for yourself, even if you do not want to succeed, even if you do not want to live a life of purpose. You will live it not just because of yourself, but because there are people who are depending on the outcome of that life. And that's how we are all connected, that one purpose is tied to another purpose, and that there's an outcome that is coming from you that I'm looking for to help me to move to the next level. All right. So what is your vocation? Your life purpose is connected to your vocation. The job you do, what you are remembered for. When you call names like Michael Jordan, when you call names like Ronaldo, when you call names like Messi, when you call names like Miles Monroe, what are the things that come to your mind? These are the things these things that come first of all to your mind are the things that they are recognized for. And what is your profession? What are you good at? What you are good at is not far from what you have come to do, the life purpose given to you. And so, what are we talking about tonight? How to reinvent yourself so that you be able to fulfill this life purpose. And it is a true saying that the moment you start living, the moment you discover your life purpose. And it's also true that people can live 100 years, 50 years, 40 years, and leave this earth, and yet not coming close to understanding their purpose. And so one of the first things everyone should do is to find your life purpose. What is your life purpose? What are you expected to do? What are you called to do? All right. So we're going to look at some reinvention stories. Some people who reinvented their lives in order for them to fulfill their purpose, their life purpose. And I want to say again that many a times we need to reinvent ourselves in order for us to fulfill our purpose. And I want to say that a reinvention is not a once in a lifetime thing. It's something that happens at different stages of our lives, because you may get a certain level of success, and that level of success is not the final. It may just be a stepping stone to the next level of success. Let's look at some reinvention stories. This one, a change of menu may be all you need. You have heard of KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken, which was founded by Colonel Harland Sanders, who was in his 60s. A little background on Sanders. Sanders was born 1890, and by 1895, his father died. And I think he had about two siblings, and his mother had to carry the responsibility. And at early age, the young boy started, if it's in our own parlance, we say started hustling, started being responsible at the age of 5. And from that time, he began to learn how to cook, was assisting the mom. He was doing a number of jobs that were older than his age. And in the process of time, towards the dying part of his life, he became an entrepreneur. He started by selling fried chicken by the roadside. And this was the time of the Great Depression between 1923 to 1933 or thereabout. So during this period, people were used to burger. People were used to burger, but he discovered that I can do something different to attract people or to attract business. So he began by frying chicken by the roadside, and it wasn't long. People wanted to know what was the secret, because there was a recipe that he had. Some said he uses some herb to prepare the chicken that gave it some special taste that was different from what people were used to. And his usual response when people ask him, what is the secret cuisine recipe you use for preparing this? He said it's something that everyone has in his kitchen. And that was how he kept his secret until the company grew to become a multi-million industry. So he understood that change was what was necessary. He discovered that people need something new, and that was how this KFC was started. And before long, it became a global brand. And I want you to note as a Great Depression. I'm going to talk about this much later, because why am I saying this? Because many a times we think that when we are in time of distress, like we are in Nigeria, when you are in time when things are difficult, and then we think there's no hope. I have done a compilation of a number of companies that were started or that thrived during times of Great Depression, times of great economic downturn. And this was one of the companies that came out. During the time of the Great Depression, it was a global depression. Countries' GDP fell fell by margins of about 15%. And there has never been any such time as this. What came close to it, though it was that was 2008, I think between 2007 2009 was the Great Recession, which many of us witnessed. But the global GDP only fell by less than 1%. So if you compare 15% and 1%, you discover that the gap was much. All right. So this was the story of how the KFC brand started. Now, I like this. I'm going to tell you a lot of stories. I call the insult that inspires. The insult that inspire. A lot of people reinvented themselves after receiving insult. Now, the first case is the story of Ferruccio Lamborghini. Lamborghini was a prisoner of war, and at the end of the war, he returned to his business of repairing motorcycles and repairing tractor. It went to the point of manufacturing oil-burning heater and air conditioner. But this guy loved the sports cars.
Sorry, your slide has not changed, please. Your slide has not changed.
I'm still on the same. Where are you?
Okay.
What are you seeing now?
Yes, you are talking of Lamborghini.
Yes.
Lamborghini.
What are you seeing?
We're not seeing Ferrari. We're seeing a change of menu methodology.
Sorry, I'm not hearing you. What's the title of slide you are seeing?
A change of menu may be all
Oh,
you.
okay. Let me go back. I'll stop sharing and reshare.
Okay. Yes, we can see it now. Yes, we can see the insult that inspires. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I was talking about Ferruccio Lamborghini, who was a prisoner of war. And after the war, he went back to his motorcycle and tractor repair work. and got to the point where he started manufacturing oil burning heater, air conditioner. But because he loved race cars, so he bought a Ferrari race car, and after a while he had problem with the clutch, and he went back to Enzo Ferrari and to complain that the vehicle was having problem. And Enzo told him the problem is not with the car but with the driver, and this infuriated him. And what was his response? His response was that he now started the Lamborghini vehicle. The first was a 12-valve engine. So from there, the Lamborghini brand was born. And today, Lamborghini is an exotic car that is hardly sought after. What is the lesson in this? He did not resign to fate. He did not just get offended, but by the insult that he received, he was inspired to start a car company of his own. Another story that inspired was the story of Stanford University. Leland Sanford and Jane Sanford were a couple who lost their son, who was an undergraduate in a certain university. And when the son died, they went to see the president of the university, and they wanted to establish a chair in honor of their son. But when they came into the office, the secretary of the president refused to allow them in. Why? Because he looked at them and judged them by their dressing, and they did not look like people who can establish a chair in a university. Then the secretary kept denying them access. They came again and again. At a point, the husband said to the wife, "Honey, we can start our own university." And that was how the Stanford University was born. It became one of the earliest private universities. And today, by world ranking, it is number 5. And that university has produced so many presidents, so many prime ministers, including the current prime minister of UK, Sunak, the prime minister of Japan, presidents of United States of America. This was because a couple felt insulted. The insult that they can't afford to establish a chair in a university inspired them to start their own university. How do you react to insults? Another one is the General Motors invention story. Before General Motors, the first commercial vehicle was Ford, the Ford. Henry Ford, who founded Ford, the initial cars all came in black. And people came to Ford and said, "Ford, we want this car in another color." And Ford said, "If it is not black, it is not Ford." And this infuriated the buyers. And one of his engineers was bought over by a group, and they started General Motors. And that was how the story began. And General Motors today is as a result of an insult that inspired somebody to start another. Another one is the Singapore reinvention. Singapore is one of the 4 Asian tigers. Singapore was so poor that they could not even afford drinking water. They had to import. They were as poor as to the point that they had to import drinking water. You know, you may be in Nigeria and say things are so bad, but have we gotten to this state where you have to import common drinking water? It was as bad as that. They did not have oil. They did not have any mineral. In fact, they had to align themselves with Malaysia. In 1962, they had to join themselves to Malaysia in order to survive as a country. But it only lasted for about 3 years. 1965, it was Malaysia chased them away. And today, this Singapore is one of the only 4 countries in Asia that has AAA credit rating in the world. And this country is one country that does not have oil, but has the biggest refineries. and is exporting oil, refined product, to many countries. And there are so many things that this country has achieved by reinvention. They began by reinventing their leadership. Another case you are familiar with is the case of Koschari's group. You must have heard back here, Cosmos Maduka. You know his story. His story was similar to the story of Colonel Sanders. He lost his father at a very early age, at the age of 4. That he had to drop out of school. He had to be sent to an uncle in Lagos from Newi, and then he had to learn to do business, had to be an apprentice. By the age of 7, he was doing business from Lagos to Newi. By around 9 years, he was traveling to Sokoto to go and do business, to go and do supply at that tender age. And when he was at 14 years, the uncle who was supposed to have settled him, having served with him for all this, about 10 years or thereabout, gave him only 200 naira to go and find his way. And finding his way, he did. Today, he's the owner of, is the importer of exotic vehicles, armored vehicles that governors ride. That was because he was inspired by the challenge, by the insult. Another story I have is the one I call Jack of all failures. I'm sure you have heard of Jack Ma, but if not, it's okay. Jack Ma, this is his story. Jack Ma failed twice in his elementary school. He failed 3 times in middle school. He was rejected by Harvard for 10 times. He applied to Harvard University to come and school from China. In fact, he said this by himself, that at a point, Harvard had to write him a personal letter to stop applying. It was as bad as that. The school writes you and say, it's not just enough that we don't want to take you, but we don't want to see your application again. That's not the end of the story. He applied for a job for 30 times and got rejected. He applied for a job at KFC when KFC came to China. 23 out of 24 applicants were hired, leaving him. 24 people came, 23 was taken. He was sent home. That was not enough. He applied to join the police force. That's something you think they should have readily been taken. 5 people applied, 4 accepted. He was sent home, he was rejected. Failures and rejection were a recurring theme in his life. But at the age of 31, he embarked on his journey to the success of establishing the prosperous company known as Alibaba. A good number of us know Alibaba or AliExpress. He started this company with 17 of his roommates, of his friends and people who were around him. How did he start? When he traveled to the US, he saw the computer for the first time and he was inspired by the computer. He wanted to know about computing, and then that was what gave rise. Today, he's the richest man in China with a net worth of $25 billion. The man you call Jack of all failures. Reinvention journey. Where do we go? The past, or do we go forward? Possibility, or do we sit where we are and complain until death does us part? Now, steps to self-reinvention. What are the steps we need to take? I'm going to go through 9 steps as quickly as possible. It could be more than that. Number 1 is reflect on what you want to change. We've said that while we're defining self-reinvention, we said that it is changing the old habit to the new. So self-reflection is the ability to witness and evaluate one's own cognitive, emotional, and behavioral processes. Reflect, what do you want to change about you? What is that you want to be? You want to change? Where is the discontent? You need to sit down and reflect on it. And that is why I gave us the you need to take time off and find a quiet place, find a solitary place, hurry to come out until you have an answer. What is that? What's the content? What drives for a lot of are driven things? Some are driven by jealousy. Oh, my Benz, my built house. Or is that for motivation? Is that what drives you for change? How clarity for move? How you reflect clarity in the direction you want to go, so that you don't make the movement of a you take one step forward and two steps backwards. You must have a clear direction of what you will into, and this is what you achieve when you self-reflect. So self-reinvention begins with self-reflection. Who is your ideal self? Who is your ideal self? When you look at the mirror, behind what you are seeing, the person you are seeing in the mirror, who is the real person you want to see? Who is the real person? It's not just in imagination. It shouldn't end in an imaginary world. But can you conceive the person you want to be? Right. So the only person you are the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. That's Ralph Waldo Emerson. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. So decision, you have to decide. Many of times stay in dreamland and what will be will be. Some will say destiny cannot be changed, but I tell you, it's a lie. If you do not walk towards your destiny, you will remain where you are forever. So the only person you are destined to be is who you have decided to be. All right. So what are you going to do as you walk towards your ideal self? One, identify the ideal you and envision your ideal self. Identify that person. Who is that person? Is that person a business mogul? Is that person an athlete who is yet to emerge, who is yet to begin to because he or she has not disciplined himself? Is that person a world you right? Like to know about people who their story, how create a description of your at the end of your days. I sit down, I ask myself, by the time you get to the time of retirement, who would you have become? What lives would you have touched? What impact would you have made? All right. So create a comprehensive depiction. Write, sometimes try and do an autobiography of yourself. Assume that you have gotten to that. Write your story as though it has happened, and then live out that story. It may sound fictional, but if you write it and leave it out intentionally, one day it will come to pass. All right, number 3, set clear, achievable goals. Every time we talk about goals, right? So Socrates said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but building the new, building on the new. Focus your energy. The past is gone. You may not be able to change the past. You may not be able to do anything about what is gone. But what do you do with the present? Focus your energy. When you look at the arrows, the darts, you see that there's a small circle, and that is the point of focus. That is what we call the bull's eye. Focus on hitting the bull's eye. And that bull's eye is the purpose of your living, the essence of your being. There are things around which may eventually lead to that, but they all aimed at bringing you to that point. All right. So set goals, set them, don't just set goals, be those goals you set and reach those goals. All right. Now, what do we need to do? Break down your aspirations into manageable targets. All right. You can't achieve all life goals in one day, not in 1 year, not in 10 years. You need to break them down. And that is when you now begin to set short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals. Write those things down. It inspires whenever you pick your diary and you see those things you write, they inspire you, they spur you to the next line, the next stage of your life. Well, then create a structured map that guides your daily actions. Create a structured map that guides your daily actions. Every one of us, most time we use Google Map to navigate through cities, places that we're not familiar with. In the same way, we can create a structured map that guides our daily action towards that goal, towards the life goal. Because every effort we make, every action we take, no matter how small they are, they will all accumulate to form our life purpose, or to either to take us close to it or to take us further away from it. All right. Your goal should serve as a tool to monitor and celebrate your progress. Right. So when you set those goals, it will be a monitor, and then when you achieve the goals, then it's a time to celebrate. All right. A good goal setting model will help you to grow. So the word grow mean goal, reality, options, and the way forward. So when you set goal, once you have a good goal, then it will help you to succeed. The number 4 step to self-reinvention is educate yourself and acquire new skills. Educate yourself and acquire new skills. All right. C.S. Lewis said, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. I love this story of a young boy who wanted to change the world. He said, as he grew older, when he became a man, he discovered he could not change the world. And his next dream was to change his country. And as he grew into his mid-year, he discovered that he cannot change his country. He thought of changing his state. He discovered until when he grew old, he now said, I wish I can change myself. I wish that we don't get old before we begin to think of how to change ourselves. Don't worry about changing the world. When you change yourself, you will change the world. All right. So reinventing yourself often requires learning new things. Learning new things. Today we have a lot of avenues to learn from. In fact, learning has come to stay with us. Learning has come to be an intrinsic part of us. Learning now does not depend on going to the 4 walls of a university or going to a classroom. You can learn on the go with anything you have, with a mobile device, with the internet, YouTube. There are so many of them. All right. Broaden your intellectual horizon. Equip yourself with practical tools and insight needed to move forward towards your envisioned future. It doesn't matter how long you complain about how bad the economy is. If you don't learn new things, you may never come out of it. Learn new skills. Do a self-appraisal. From time to time, ask yourself, what have I learned? I do an appraisal, daily appraisal. Before I go to bed, I ask myself, what new thing have you learned today? You need to give, the first person you give account to is yourself. And you must be self-accounting. You must be self-responsible. Number 5, build a support network. You need people to help you reinvent yourself. Get mentors who offer wisdom and guidance. Get like-minded people with whom you share your path or your self-discovery and growth. They can help you. Their own stories can also inspire you. And this support network creates a safety net for you, that you do not make the mistakes that others have made before. Being a part of that community helps you to grow faster and help you to avoid there are mistakes that are avoidable mistakes. All right. They also offer you emotional sustenance and practical advice. And then they ensure that on your way to self-reinvention, you do not walk alone. Number 6 is to implement changes gradually. You need to implement changes gradually. True life is lived when tiny changes occur. So says Leo Tolstoy. True life is lived when tiny changes occur. If you look at this picture, you see the last guy. That was his initial state, where he wants to lose weight. And you do not lose weight overnight. And some people have taken advantage of that to sell drugs. They say this drug, this stuff is going to help you to lose weight in 7 days. But many a times it's all a lie. It begins with jogging. One day, the first day, you won't see anything. In fact, the first month, you may maybe a little change. But every day, the impact that you are making, and every day is contributing to your end. All right. So gradualism is the power of incremental change. So do it gradually. Implement those changes gradually. Implement changes gradually, and be patient with yourself. Many a times we are not patient with ourselves because you have set your mind on achieving that thing. You want to do it overnight. It doesn't happen so. Listen to the stories of great men and women who have succeeded. It took them years, but unfortunately, we in a generation, we live in an instant generation. Everything must be done instantly, but it is in nature, it is not true. All right. So implementing changes gradually allows for sustained growth. Number 7, evaluate and adjust your approach. Evaluate and adjust your approach. Sometimes your approach has to change. Midway, you may discover that the approach you took was not right. So you need to advise yourself. All right. Somebody said, he said, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. All right. So that's what happens. We need to adjust our approach to that self-reinvention. One of the things you should do, I said, mount personal checkpoints. Mount personal checkpoints. From time to time, reevaluate yourself and check to know if you need to adjust your approach. You need to be flexible. Flexibility is your greatest asset at this point in time. Don't just write the rules like the laws of the mates and the patient that cannot be altered. No, as long as you wrote that, nobody's going to crucify you for it. Make a room for flexibility. Change the plan if it's not working. All right. Evaluate and adjust yourself. This fosters resilience for sustained growth. Make series of informed choices and adaptations. All right. As you go, you may discover that it wasn't exactly the way you planned it to be. It wasn't exactly the way you wrote it in your diary. Life is not like that. Life is not like a classroom. There's no ideal thing in life. You will all need to make changes as you go on. Number 8, embrace setbacks as learning opportunities. Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just learned 10,000 ways in which it will not work." Talking about his famous experiment of inventing the light bulb. He said, "Don't count me for failure because I was only learning." So setbacks are opportunities for us to learn, all right? So if we're going through transformative process, let's not be surprised when setbacks come, all right? Instead of viewing them as failure, let's see them as an opportunity to learn and grow. And number 9, the final step, celebrate your progress. Celebration is a reminder of how far we've come, all right? Celebration is an affirmation of your growth. You may not have reached the ultimate, but at every stage, at every milestone, by achieving any milestone, it calls for celebration. What does celebration do? Number 1, motivation. It gives you a sense of accomplishment and motivates you to keep working hard. It boosts your confidence. It tells you that, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I can. All right. It builds your self-esteem. You also learn by reflecting on past wins. It can guide you to future efforts. It strengthens relationship, inspires you and those around you to do more. And then it also it helps you to acknowledge your efforts. No matter how small, no matter how little that success is, it is worth celebrating. Right. What is your reinvention story as we wrap it up at this point? Now, as I conclude, I'm going to show you about 5 or 6 companies that thrived during the Great Recession. The Great Recession, like I told you before, had happened sometime around 1970 to 75, has happened during our own time, between 2007 to 2009. If you were aware that a lot of banks failed in Nigeria, a lot of people lost their investment and all that. Now, one of the companies that thrived during the Great Recession by 2010 was MailChimp. MailChimp was built on the freemium model. You may wonder, what is the freemium model? The freemium model is when you offer your service or product for free. You give it to people to use for free. A lot of us are using a lot of them. You get WhatsApp for free, you get Gmail for free, and all that. So, based on this model, during the time of the Great Recession, they discovered that they could not compete with the bigger companies, and then they had to go to the smaller companies, and then they offered their services on the premium model, and their clientele increased from 85,000 to 450 users. Another one you are familiar with is Netflix. Netflix, we began to hear more of Netflix when the recession came in, because people did not have money to hire videos again or to go for entertainment, popular places for entertainment. And Netflix began to offer e-streaming service as a response to dying video rental stores. Another one is Microsoft. Microsoft recession invention or creation happened during the Great Recession of the 1975, and today Microsoft is one of the greatest global brand. Every one of us is using Microsoft one way or the other. Uber, yes, happened much recently, and they created a model where they get people get employed. People get paid by using their own vehicles for transportation. Uber does not have a vehicle, but it has thousands of vehicles under its license. And that has created a model for many other companies like Bolt and the rest of them today. WhatsApp, every one of us use WhatsApp. Founded 2009, WhatsApp became an example, also built on the freemium model. Every one of us, if I'm not mistaken, is using the free version. But after some time, WhatsApp began to offer its services by charging people a little less than $1, $0.99, and people, before long, they grew to the point where Facebook had to buy them. Look at, I highlighted this date. Look at the date. They started, this was a startup company in 2009 during the recession. What were they doing? Just to send your messages, your pictures, videos, make calls. A lot of people make use of WhatsApp now instead of the traditional calls, all right? And look at the period between 2009 and 2014. How many years? Just 5 years. That company was sold for $19 billion. Think of it. Just a period of 5 years. Facebook bought it for $19 billion. Back home here, Bet Niger. Bet Niger was founded by Kule Shonem, and it was started in 2013. It became the first indigenous online sport betting company. And today, I hear that they have they have offered, they have paid out up to $1 billion to winners. And betting is what I call the fool's paradise, because when you look at this, you see that the poor take what he does not have to give to the rich. You see a young man, he will labor, carry block, mix cement, concrete from morning till night. By the end of the day, when he's paid, he goes to the betting shop and gives it to the rich man and comes back again tomorrow begging. But somebody is eating from it. All right, as we conclude, the final words: failure is not fatal. Failure is not final. Miles Monroe said, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without purpose. Have you found your purpose? Are you living your purpose? And I leave you with this scripture, part of the scripture in Isaiah 66, verse 8. As soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. There is a birth pain, there is a birth cry that you are yet to experience, which will cause a reinvention in you. I pray that you come to this point where you will reinvent yourself. Thank you for listening. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. Quite inspiring. Okay, quite inspiring. Okay, Lisa Perez, I see your hand is up. Could you please ask your question? Or is it a mistake? Okay, I can't seem to find any question in the chat box for now. But I see one hand up. Okay, Lisa Perez, your hand is up. Are you asking a question or is it a mistake? Okay. No feedback. Okay, let's go to the second one. Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Sagotse Nuzuku.
Good evening, Michael, and good evening, everyone. Good evening, Collins. That was a great one. A great one. I just want to know how late will it be for a person to repurpose him or herself in life?
Good question. Thank you for asking that question. You know, when I told the stories, you discover that people at different points of their lives reinvented themselves. So the answer is, it is never late, no matter how old you are. I watched a documentary of, was it 75-year-old man somewhere in East Africa, who entered elementary school and started learning. So it's never late. And that is, as long as you have the breath within you, it is not late. So it is better late than never. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Collins. Why did I ask this question? And I want to just make a contribution here. Everyone is gifted. Everyone is talented. Everyone has one thing or the other that God has given to the person. And it's just for us to individually identify this gift, this talent that God has given to us that no other person has it, depending on the context or an environment. Now, some people it takes years, some people it takes months, some people it takes days for them to identify it. But you have to continue to knock like the impotent woman until you find your true self. And then you'll be able to work on it. It's just like a mustard seed that is in you. Everyone has it. It's just to really, really identify that purpose that God has given to you, that talent for a purpose that God has given to you. And then when you work on it, you master it, you then be able to give the best expression of yourself. Thank you, Collins.
Thank you for your contribution. All right.
Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution, sir. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. There are no questions in the chat box, but we have some comments from Catherine Amos. Some claps. You have John Oyima, very inspiring. Christianos. Okay, Christian Umoko, has given 2 bozas, okay. Mr. Isido Tiwa said, thank you, sir. The Nigeria here said, eye-opening, thank you, sir. Then you have Catherine Amos. I'm motivated by this awesome presentation. God bless you, sir. Okay, I'm not sure there are any comments here in the chat box again. Okay, I guess probably this is where we will draw the curtain for tonight. On behalf of Aspire for Excellence Foundation, we want to say a big thank you to you, Professor Collins Udanor. You may not know what you have done tonight, but somehow you've been able to put a spark back again in the lives of people. We know that as a result of the economic downturn, a lot of people are probably looking at the negative side of life. But I believe our take home here today, it's wherever there is a threat, there is also an opportunity. We saw it with the inspiring stories that you seem to have given us. Okay, there were several inspiring stories you've given us. So I guess we're going to go back to this. You gave us the stories of several people. Okay, you told us about the insult that that inspires. You told us about KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You told us about the Stanford University and the insults they got. You told us about General Motors. You told us about the Singapore reinvention. You told us about the Cosmos Maduka. You told us about the Jack of all failures, Jack Ma also. So we truly want to thank you for tonight. And I believe that at the end of this day, we all are going to learn 1 or 2 things, and we are going to reinvent our lives. The slides will be shared in the WhatsApp forum. So please, if you want to get the slides, go to the chat box, click on the link, join, and we are going to share the slides. So once again, I want to say thank you, Professor Collins Udanor. Thank you for inspiring us tonight. And to everyone who has connected, thank you very much for your time. God bless you, and we hope to see 3rd Saturday of October.